Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Juan. I'll be your guide on this weekly walk. Thank you for joining us. I joined you about 3 weeks ago on the colors of summer. We've been doing weekly walks every week since the onset of the pandemic. Our nonprofit, the Central Park Conservancy, its mission is to preserve and celebrate Central Park as a sanctuary from the pace and pressures of city life. On behalf of everyone in our organization, welcome. Before we continue with our walk today, let's go over some housekeeping. As you know, we're using Zoom as a platform to meet. Everyone is muted, only my video feed is on. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. My colleagues, Jose and Carla, are on the back end helping find answers to any questions that you might have. Central Park is a very big space, as many of us know. It runs from 59th to 110th Street, from 8th to 5th Avenue on the other side. And on today's virtual walk, we're going to focus on several landscapes on the southeastern section of the park. Our walk is entitled Filming in Central Park, and we'll be looking at an interpretation focusing on filming, the activity, the act of filming in Central Park, and we'll embellish it in a sense with references to some movies that you might already be familiar with. And this is all in connection, in synchrony with a tour that we've just launched, debuting tomorrow, actually, August 3rd. So if you are in New York, if you live in Manhattan, or if you are visiting the city in the months ahead, look for our Central Park Summer Movies tour that we've just put together. A lot of interesting work in this particular project. Movies is now one of my fortes, or my strong suits. I am all about the statues and the art, but I was surprised in engaging in this research, the symbolism and the thought that goes behind and the resources that need to come together in order for these memories and beautiful works of art to be created in this medium. So look for that. At the end of the tour, I will share links, and that will connect you to this particular page, to this particular resource. Now, before we proceed with our walk, I want to thank my colleagues within our department for helping make this tour possible, but also those in the film and special events crew. I couldn't find a photo of them specifically, but they are here. This photo here is one that was taken earlier this year in spring. This was our all staff breakfast. Again, from everyone at our organization, thank you for your support. And we're very happy to collaborate with colleagues in different departments, so to bring you a very nice perspective on the park and the work that we do as well, which is again made possible by your generous support. Our walk today is going to take more or less 15 minutes. It won't be too long. Several stops, as you can see marked on this map. We'll enter the park on the southeastern corner at Grand Army Plaza, and meander through the place and finish by the Bethesda Terrace and Fountain area. This is the view of how the park was looking just a few days ago when I took this image. Don't be deceived. Beautiful clear skies, but when I took this photo, the temperature was close to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Yes, we had a very serious heat wave, the first serious heat wave of the season, although we've had the smoke from the Canadian wildfire, so what's a little heat? But we survived. We're enjoying much, much nicer weather. I see in your comments as well that many are excited and enjoying this beautiful weather that we've been having the last 2 days. Now, this is the Sherman Monument. It almost looks picture perfect, and this is evidence of the work that is done by the Conservancy to keep the park looking as spectacular as possible. But enough about the monuments. I could go on about the monuments. Let's look at what's directly across the street. For this is an iconic building. It's the Plaza Hotel, built in the early 20th century, designed by Henry Hardenberg, the same man who designed the Dakota Apartments, where famed Beatles musician John Lennon moved into in 1972. The Plaza, however, on the southeastern corner of the park has served as location for many, many films. The most popular that I can think of off the top of my head, of course, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. This is where the protagonist, Kevin, played by Macaulay Culkin, stays with his father's credit card and engages in some very interesting adventures in Central Park and in other areas of the city. But this is outside the park. Let us go into the park to enjoy the landscapes from Grand Army Plaza. We're going to go across the road here and enter the park, go down a couple of steps. So to enter into our first landscape of interest, which is this section over here with the pond to the left-hand side, this curving promenade at the center, and this lawn to the right-hand side. Upon closer inspection on this lawn, we see that there's some work that needs to be considered, as these orange cones indicating areas that are very susceptible to damage. And you see these manhole covers, which evidences the delicacy of these spaces. And whenever we have movies in Central Park being filmed, our team of professionals in the film and the special events departments, the first thing they receive is a message indicating where the interest in the park is for the film project, and they organize for it to be made possible. And this has several considerations that are taken into account. We have a web page where you can inform yourself if you're thinking of a project for filming in Central Park, or just wondering what are the considerations that the Conservancy takes into account when it comes to organizing for film projects set up in the park. But this has been happening, or filming in Central Park has been happening every year, really. And I learned an estimate yesterday that since 1980, an estimate of some 10,000 to 20,000 films have been, or scenes for films and film projects have been filmed, recorded in Central Park. And I was taken aback. I mean, to this day, I'm still processing all that information and trying to organize the parameters in my head so to convey this to our dedicated audience. But on this lawn here, our the first reference to a popular movie from the 1990s that I'll bring to you is this one here, Cruel Intentions, which launched or was presented in the 1999. And here we see actresses Sarah Michelle Gellar and I forget the name of this other actress over here, but real quick, I think I can give you that information here. If anyone knows the name of the reclining figure here, actress, let us know in the comment section. But it goes to show, and the reason I wanted to bring this is just to show a little bit of the variety of landscapes that are used in Central Park. Filming in the summer has special considerations. There's more flexibility. However, in the winter, because certain landscapes like lawns are closed, there are some limitations, and it's interesting to learn about what those limitations are or regulations are from an internal perspective. But moving along, we see on the other side across from this lawn to the left, the pond with the iconic Capstone Bridge, which was prominently referenced in the movie Home Alone 2. Let me go back over here, and this is a still from the last scene in the movie where Macaulay Culkin, Kevin, is saying goodbye to the pigeon lady. And from here, the camera zooms out and leaves us with this very special memory of this very tender moment in the movie. And it goes to show how the landscapes in Central Park, this appreciation that they have, yes, it's the result of the great care that they receive, but also because of the exposures that we've had in popular culture to these now iconic sites. I can tell you from experience, sometimes I am at visitor centers and people come asking for the Kevin Bridge or the Home Alone II bridge. They don't have any other references. This is pretty much all they know about Central Park. And it's a very interesting dimension that, again, we are beginning to explore, offering these interpretive programs. Now, this is another shot from another movie. This one is from The Devil Wears Prada, which launched, debuted in 2006-7, if I'm not mistaken. And this is a scene where models are doing a photo shoot. It's an interesting movie. And the reason as to why I bring this photo in is to bring this reference to the water, right? The bodies of water in the park, yes, they are iconic in their own right. They get a lot of visits as well, but it's important to learn of how we can be best stewards for these very special landscapes. Here you see mallard ducks. You also see turtles in the water. We have 5 different types of turtles and 12 different types of fish from the last estimate that I consulted them. This is the view, another view of a beautiful Gapstone Bridge. And in addition to the wildlife, we can appreciate the beautiful flora. Already we have these settings immortalized in the movies that we've just referenced as we began our walk. But strolling through the park today, and at any time, it's almost as if Central Park in itself is a movie that is always changing, always evolving, and this keeps incredible interest with our visitors. For example, walking along this eastern shoreline of the pond with this beautiful view of Gapstone Bridge in the background, we get exposed to this beautiful set of black-eyed Susans, accentuated with this beautiful echinacea flower that you see popping up right there towards the center. And this is how the park is looking now. Visit a couple of weeks from now, or experience another virtual walk a couple of weeks from now in this immediate area, and you'll see some very nice and interesting variety. Now, from Gapstone Bridge, we're going to make our way towards Chess and Checkers house, which I wanted to show because it has been recently restored. It's open for public use. It has been enhanced and referenced in a movie that we will that I'll touch on momentarily. But we're going to go up a couple of steps, making our way to the Woolman Rink, a place for ice skating in Central Park. And this is the path that is going to take us there. Ice skating at the Woolman Rink has been happening here since 1949. This used to be an extension of the very pond that we just saw a few slides earlier. It turned into an artificial ice skating rink in 1949. In the winter, it serves as an ice skating facility, and in the warmer weather, it used to be Victoria Gardens. That's what it used to be called, with several attractions for young visitors, especially things like a little Ferris wheel, teacups as well, and other attractions. Very nice. But this year we're using it, the city is using it as a space with several courts for pickleball. But that's what's happening right now. You can also play pickleball at the North Meadow facility located in the northern section of the park. So if you're into this phenomenon, yes, Central Park has an in that particular very popular sport that has taken off incredibly, amazingly. Now, this next reference is relating to this movie Serendipity, which I hadn't seen, and I saw for the first time a couple of days ago actually, and I finished it actually last night. And I was amazed to see how the references to Central Park were tied together. For example, soon after the protagonists meet, played by John Cusack and Kate Beckinsale, they get on a date or go on a date to Central Park over here, to the Woolman Rink, and they have a very nice and interesting conversation. First of all, they believe that if they're meant to be together, they will be together. However, they're engaged, and a series of interesting events are happening to them in New York City in this brief time period that is, yes, getting them closer, but keeping them apart. It's this movie plays with the dimension of the role of the universe in bringing people together, or for that matter, bringing to you whatever you have on your mind. the movie kind of highlights very interesting signs which can be associated to things that happen in our lives that let us know that maybe this is happening for an interesting reason. So it's a very interesting movie that played with that idea. And at the beginning of the movie, soon after they meet at a department store in the nearby eastern side of Manhattan, Midtown East, at Bloomingdale's, they go for coffee at Serendipity 3, which is an actual restaurant here in New York. And then they come to ice skate here in Central Park. And at the end of so they go through all these scenarios and dynamics that bring them closer and then further apart. But spoiler alert, at the end of the movie, they manage to get together, and the last scene is filmed again here at the woman's rink, which I found very interesting, as I don't know if the directors were aware of the dimension of ice skating in Central Park for this young woman visiting New York City. The protagonist, Kate, was visiting from England. One of the first things that she enjoys doing in Central Park is ice skating, and ice skating is actually the first use that was activated in Central Park. This is an illustration showing visitors enjoying ice skating at the very pond that I just showed you a few slides ago. Today, most of the ice skating in the southern end, of course, happens here at the woman rink where I just showed you. But traditionally, throughout the 19th century and the first half of the 20th century, ice skating used to happen on the lakes throughout the park, the pond, the lake, and even the Harlem Mere as well in the northern section of the park. Another movie that is set at this very special location is this one here, August Rush, with this young actor whose name is escaping me right now, and Robin Williams. The young actor plays a character of an orphan who escapes and comes to New York City. He is incredibly talented in music. And from Central Park in the movie, in this plaza where we're standing overlooking the woman's rink, is where basically his career launches. A very impressive movie about the power of music helping bring people together in this context. The protagonist, the orphan, looking to reunite with his parents. And on and on throughout the movie, many different sections of New York City are referenced. And one of those sections is Chess and Checkers house, which is the next spot that we are going to visit. And as I mentioned, just completed our restoration. We're going to go up this slope over here, this hill, making our way to a set of steps that will bring us to this, now the largest rustic structure in Central Park. And replacing a more rudimentary rustic detail that was installed in the 1950s. Chess and Checkers house, the red brick building that you see in the background there was itself built in the 1950s as well, and replacing this original design. This is how the original top of this mound, which happens to be called the Kinderberg, the children's mound, used to look. With the recent restoration, which it includes or tries to bring a lot of these original details to this rendering, we are basically creating for new experiences and memories to be created in our beloved park. Chess and Checkers house again is open. Accessibility has been increased. We are working to develop this ADA accessible ramp so that visitors on wheelchairs, mobility issues, or strollers even can make their way to this, what will very soon, I'm sure, be immortalized in a movie or a TV show. Now this is in the distance across here, we see the dairy. The dairy is looking very nice as well. For our restoration was completed, I believe, in 2021. Now we're going to move just north of the dairy to explore a little bit of what is considered to be the heart of Central Park. Definitely the biggest social hub that we have in these 843 acres. Our first landscape is the mall. And again, a very popular setting for many movies, a very busy section of the park as well. And many movies filmed here, and you'll be surprised to know that that whenever filming is happening in Central Park, the park doesn't actually close. I learned from our colleagues at Film and Special Events that filming is done in sections. They organize for all of the equipment that needs to be set up. Cables, if they are on the ground, are covered. And the experience is very organized. Filming is done minutes at a time with actors doing their thing, and also the general flow that you experience in the background. And then, of course, with video editing, they can organize for time dynamics, for example, as was the case with the filming of the very popular television series Gilded Age, which has a very special connection here to Central Park. This is the mall. Has appeared in many movies off of the top of my head, Made in Manhattan, Enchanted, and others as well. But I want to bring you off of the mall and to this other road that is located just a little bit off to the western side. This section over here used to be part of the main carriage drive system, but in the 1950s or 70s, around that, between that time frame, I have to double check, was closed off to traffic. And interestingly, it has developed several community uses. There are volleyball courts here, roller skaters tend to gather here as well, but also this is how it looks today. Whenever filming productions need to bring in equipment, for example, trucks and whatever else they might need, this is where they have permission to park them. So if you are visiting Central Park and you're visiting this immediate area and you see a lot of trucks, a lot of vehicles, that's an indicator that a major, in all probability, a major filming event is happening in the park. Now, this is leaving that road, as we call it, a road that is dead to traffic, and connecting to the band shell. And when I took these images a few days ago, this event was going on, Peace in the Park. As you can see, there are several tents in this space that's been put together for musical concerts. And they were providing information on the services that they provide, a lot of yoga and meditation. There are many organizations that partake on events in Central Park. And again, our film and special events group it helps organize and make that possible. Here you see the setup of these attractions, the tables, the park is still activated, people are flowing through, everything is moving smoothly. So not only is the event experience in Central Park immortalized in film, but it's also happening on a very regular basis. There are events happening left and right. Summers in New York are incredible when it comes to the amount of things that you can enjoy in our public spaces, not only Central Park, but parks all over New York City in general. Now, this brings us to the last landscape that we are exploring, and this is the Bethesda Terrace, the largest architectural feature in Central Park. The last statistic I read, some 300 films had been filmed here in Central Park. Elf, Angels in America, Enchanted, and many, many, many others. This is the view of the very iconic Bethesda fountain with the angel of the waters on top. Spaces like these, landscapes like these that are incredibly iconic productions can be incredibly elaborate and requiring a lot of equipment, a lot of apparatuses. You can pick up on the organization, the sense of streamlining. It looks chaotic, but it's organized chaos. Now, there's a lot more to explore when it comes to this particular topic. I hope that you come on our movies tour, on our summer movies tour. I know as well that we will be working on a winter event as well. My colleague Jose is going to share a link that will show you. It's basically a list that we use in our visitor centers that shows you the many, many movies that have been filmed on location in Central Park. It's a list with over 200 names, and it's available online. Let me know what your favorite movie that is filmed in Central Park is in the comments section, if you're watching on YouTube as well. It's interesting to know and interesting to shape this information. I go back to our comments after the event and try to learn as much as possible from this particular presentation, so to enhance in the future and bring you different interpretations. This is a route that we've covered, bringing us again from the southeastern section of the park, Grand Army Plaza, to the Bethesda Terrace and Fountain. And again, join us on our Central Park Summer Movies Tour. It's happening throughout August and September as well. These are just some of the days that I've selected. My colleague Jose will drop the link where you can learn more about this very interesting event that we put together just for you. So that is all. I thank you all very much for your attention. Thank you for your continuous support of the work that we're doing, for your suggestions, your insights. As we all know, the park needs us. Think of the ways that you can contribute to the park or to our organization. Keep supporting these programs, share these videos, come to our events. Let us know of your experience as well, and maybe even consider becoming a member or volunteering your time. And by the way, the next time I'll see y'all will be in September on a program that will highlight volunteerism in Central Park, which is a very special dimension. I thank you. And from everyone in our organization, have a very good week ahead, or rest of the week ahead.